I got a critical question to ask. Are Oprah, Lee Daniels, and Tyler Perry the gatekeepers of Hollywood? Because it sure looks like it from the way Taraji P. Henson looked to squash things between her and Oprah. Now available in paperback and Kindle, All About Marilyn. Learn all about the struggles of a faded former teen sitcom star in this absolutely fabulous 5-star screenplay. Get All About Marilyn in paperback and Kindle on Amazon.com today. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, because we're having us a barbecue. Recently, Academy Award nominated actress Taraji P. Henson went on Sirius XM radio to talk about how she was not being paid fairly as related to her performances in Hollywood. And as she's talked about how she's not being fairly paid in Hollywood, there were rumors swirling around that she had friction with Oprah Winfrey, who was one of the producers of the Color Purple remake that she starred in, and that this friction with Oprah Winfrey was one of the problems she was having that led to her going to make this complaint on Sirius XM radio about being underpaid. Now, these rumors of friction between Taraji P. Henson and Oprah Winfrey basically mirrored statements that Academy Award-winning actress Monique made as related to Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels, and Tyler Perry, basically underpaying black actresses, and also, as Monique has stated, colluded to keep her from being able to find work in black Hollywood productions. Now, as I listen to Monique's statements and listen to Taraji P. Henson's statements and the aftermath of Taraji P. Henson's statements as related to the friction between herself and Oprah Winfrey, where after making these statements and these rumors came out, Taraji P. Henson quickly looked to try to settle these issues with Oprah Winfrey, saying everything was fine. I have to wonder if Oprah Winfrey and Lee Daniels and Tyler Perry have so much power in Hollywood that they can basically control the narrative and also control the work that people get in black Hollywood. Because when I take a critical look at the way Taraji P. Henson quickly looked to settle things between herself and Oprah Winfrey as related to her issues as related to pay, it really makes me think that Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels, and Tyler Perry are basically been given power to the point where they are basically controlling the narrative over what gets produced in black Hollywood and controls who works in black Hollywood. Now, when it comes to Hollywood, I have always stated those who control the money control the media, and those who control the media control the narrative. And when it comes to Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels, and Tyler Perry, we have two black billionaires and a millionaire who have tremendous money that they can get any production greenlit, and they have the influence and the resources to get any black production to be not only greenlit, but filmed and distributed by mainstream media platforms. And that kind of power is only given to black people who basically have looked to compromise with white supremacy, and I believe that's why white supremacy basically made Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels, and Tyler Perry the de facto overseers over black Hollywood. And they made them the de facto overseers over black Hollywood for a reason. Again, Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels, and Tyler Perry have the money to control the media for white supremacy. Moreover, they have the influence to control the narrative for white supremacy, and they also have the influence to make sure that all of the black performers fall in line with white supremacy's rules as related to working in Hollywood, written and unwritten. And the unwritten part is the one that white supremacy wants to maintain, and that's why they have Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels, and Tyler Perry overseeing Black Hollywood, and have them overseeing Black Hollywood to make sure that none of the Negro actors get out of line. And that's basically what they want to do. Again, when white supremacy wants to control black people, they don't do it out in the open by putting white faces in front of it. No, what they do is recruit black bootlicks to go out here and be their supervisors or overseers and make sure that those colored folks don't get out of line. And again, this is an unwritten and implied position that is given to black people who have economic and social and political power, because what the white supremacist doesn't want is a chain of command that where people can be directly held accountable. So what they do is give people de facto positions that are unwritten, and they have all of the black performers basically going out here and following the unwritten chain of command and looking to follow those social rules, because if they follow the social rules, they will get rewarded. That's how white supremacy maintains control over black performers, I believe, because as they're following the unwritten social rules, they are allowed to work. But if they break the unwritten social rules, like Monique did, what they will do is actively go out here and look to punish them by blacklisting them. Because what happened to Monique as related to her making these statements about Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels, and Tyler Perry basically colluding to keep her from being able to get work was they looked, as I see it, was to blacklist Monique to make sure that she would not get work. And as they looked to make sure that she did not get work, they were looking to send a message to all of the black performers that they needed to get in line if they wanted to get work as related to Black Hollywood. Moreover, they were sending a message to the white supremacists that they had Black Hollywood under control, and as they had Black Hollywood under control, they would make sure that all of the black performers would get in line with their narrative and go out here, and as they're controlling the narrative, go out here and do the work that they want done on the projects that they want. Now, I find it interesting that as Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels, and Tyler Perry have come to power in Black Hollywood, we have seen a complete change as related to the kind of content that has been produced by Black Hollywood. Now, I remember when Bill Cosby was around and was in Hollywood, we started to see a completely different picture of entertainment that ushered in a golden age of black films. Now, as Bill Cosby was rising in power and influence in Hollywood, we started to see a more balanced, humanized image of black people that rose out of the blaxploitation films that he helped finance, such as Sweet Sweetback Song by the late Melvin Van Peebles. And we started to see more richer, diverse content that showed us a richer, diverse picture of black life. And in that golden age, we not only saw Bill Cosby's Cosby Show, we started to see filmmakers like Robert Townsend making commentaries about the Hollywood Shuffle and how black actors were basically made to act into black stereotypes that fit white racist ideas of black. And we also got to see lots of artistic films from brilliant filmmakers like Spike Lee and John Singleton, and we started to see a diversity of voices telling stories about the black experience. However, as Bill Cosby's influence started to wane, we started to see the rise of the Hood movie with Boys in the Hood And then we started to see a major decline as related to black films that started in 2001 with Lee Daniels' Monsters Ball. And with Lee Daniels' Monsters Ball, we started to see a complete change in the narrative of films to basically reflect what white supremacy wanted to see about black people. And we saw that with network productions in the 90s, with Oprah Winfrey's first production, which was Oprah Winfrey Presents The Wedding, which starred Halle Berry, looking to marry a white man. And then as we started to enter into the 2000s, that's when we started to see a complete change of the narrative as Oprah Winfrey and Lee Daniels started to get more influence over the narrative of black media by white studios. And as they gained control over the narrative, this is where we started to see the narrative change to become the old, miserable, downtrodden narrative that is a part of black literary canon. And we started to see more black films that were revolved around miserable, downtrodden people like Lee Daniels' Monsters Ball and other films that came out like Tyler Perry movies, films that basically presented you narratives of black people being abused by other black people. And usually these films usually had no real hope. This is where we started to see the narrative of Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels, and Tyler Perry began to take over mainstream black media. And as they began to take control over the narrative of mainstream black media, we began to see a repackaging of old stereotypes such as the Black Jezebel, which was presented and mainstreamed in the movie Monsters Ball by Halle Berry, and we started to see black actors only getting rewarded for performances where they either were just playing slaves or playing other degenerate roles. That's what we started to see with black films as related to mainstream black films. And that's where I have to really wonder if Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels, and Tyler Perry are basically controlling the narrative of black Hollywood. And I'm wondering if they are controlling the narrative of black Hollywood because the only stories that seem to come from Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels, or Tyler Perry are ones that basically present black people as being abused and being humiliated, and we don't get any of the balance that we got from men like Bill Cosby, Robert Townsend, or the Hudlin brothers that gave us a richer picture of black life. I mean, when I think about what's going on with black Hollywood, it's clear to me that the narrative has completely changed to reflect that of Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels, and Tyler Perry, who love to present stories about black people being abused and black people having no hope and black people coming from poverty, never showing us any of the richer picture of black life that we were starting to see in that golden age ushered in by Bill Cosby. I mean, when I look at the modern Hollywood right now, it seems the only films that get greenlit these days are either slave movies, movies set during Jim Crow, or movies set during the Civil Rights Movement. And here we are in 2023, almost 60 to 70 years since the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and over 150 years since President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment. But it seems like Hollywood can only tell stories in the period of slavery, or the period of Jim Crow, or the period of civil rights. And there's a lot of black life that's been going on for the last, I'd say, about 60 to 70 years that no none of these black producers wants to spend money on to greenlight a film about, and it's looking to me like there's some collusion to keep those stories from being produced, even though we clearly see that there is a growing market for some different kinds of films that was shown to studio executives by the success of Black Panther, the #1 movie of 2018 that grossed over $1 billion, sold all of its merchandise from companies like Hasbro, and we clearly see that there is a burgeoning market for black fantasy films, and we clearly see that there is a market for black fantasy and black science fiction and black manga growing, but we don't see Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels, or Tyler Perry looking to capitalize on this the way a smart studio executive would. No, we don't see this because I personally believe there might be some sort of collusion by these individuals in conjunction with the white supremacists in Hollywood to control the narrative of black film and look to keep the narrative of black film presenting negative images of black people deliberately by design, because what they want black people to do is have no hope and live in a world of misery. Because the only reason why we would get a Color Purple remake in 2023 instead of a fantasy film or a film that presented you a different aspect of black life, such as black goths or the black goth subculture, is basically, I believe, because you have 3 individuals who want to continue perpetuating narratives they feel comfortable with rather than going out here and looking to appeal to an audience which wants to see a richer picture of black life. And instead of giving the audience the picture of black life that reflects what it is right now, what you're getting is a bunch of pictures that reflect what they want to see, and moreover, what their white supremacist masters want to see presented on film as what they want to program people to believe is the black experience. What you see here as related to the productions with, Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels, or Tyler Perry's names are productions that basically show you only what they want to present to you with their money. Moreover, this is something that the white supremacists in Hollywood want to see distributed on their networks. These are the images and stories they want to present, and as they present these messages to black people, they are programmed to believe that dysfunction is the norm for black people and never see a functional black family or a functional black relationship, because what the white supremacist wants to promote is the idea that black people cannot be able to function as human beings. That's what we see with all of these different types of stories, and that black people are stuck in arrested development, stuck in the same mindset that they had, that as they believe during slavery. And I say as they believe because that's not who we are. And that's what I believe is happening as related to mainstream black entertainment. And with mainstream black entertainment, they only want a certain kind of narrative as related to their productions. And they go out and make sure that their overseers, Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels, and Tyler Perry, are the enforcers to ensure that these are the only kind of productions that get greenlit, and these are the only kind of productions that get filmed. And as they get these productions filmed, these are the only ones that they certify for distribution as related to being mainstream productions. And this is where Taraji P. Henson's friction with Oprah Winfrey is basically lining up with Monique's statements, and this friction, along with Taraji quickly going to reconcile with Oprah, shows me that that these three individuals are the ones controlling Hollywood to the point where they could scare Taraji P. Henson to the point where she's afraid to stand up and speak out because she fears being blacklisted. She fears not being able to get any more work because she does not want to be made an example the same way that Monique was made. And that's where I'm seeing where there's possible collusion. And I say the word possible and alleged because I don't want to go out here and have lawsuits filed against me, because when you say alleged and possible, again, this is my speculation, but it's looking to me like there's some sort of collusion, because why is it that the only films that get greenlit as related to Black Hollywood are ones that always feature slaves or feature films set during the periods of Jim Crow or films set during the period of the Civil Rights Movement? That's the critical question I gotta ask Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels, and Tyler Perry. I mean, why is it that the only productions they make seem to only line up with certain time periods? Now, I know Lee Daniels was behind the Wonder Years remake, but that whole project, again, is filled with the same dysfunction that features many Lee Daniels films. And again, why is it that we only get certain productions from Black Hollywood today in 2023, whereas in the 1980s and 90s, when I was a teenager, we saw that the sky was the limit. I mean, we had Bill Cosby coming out with The Cosby Show. We had Robert Townsend, after Hollywood Shuffle, give us great films like The Five Heartbeats and a fantasy film in The Meteor Man, the first black superhero movie. We had guys out here like the Hudlin brothers showing us black life with House Party. We had, even with John Singleton's Boys in the Hood, we got a picture of black fathers showing how black men were. And we even got other great unique films like Death by Temptation, which was a black horror movie. I mean, we got lots of diversity in the 80s and in the early 90s, but with the Hood movie, we started to see that decline, and then after that decline, we went into the mainstreaming of Monsters Ball, and ever since then, Black Hollywood seems to only be stuck in 3 years: slave movie, downtrodden black person, black criminal, or abused black person. And again, when you line those narratives up and you take a look at Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels, and Tyler Perry's previous productions, it seems like they can only make a certain kind of film, whereas other filmmakers could go out here and make all types of different films. So that's where I look at this whole issue with Taraji P. Henson and Oprah Winfrey, basically showing me that there's efforts to keep black creators from being able to create, and making it where many of these black creators have to sign on to a certain narrative if they hope to sell a screenplay, hope to get a production greenlit, and have to go out here and bootlick to the black overseer, who was the de facto one controlling the black narrative. That's what I believe is going on, because Taraji P. Henson's whole statements go quickly from, oh, I'm being underpaid, to Oprah Winfrey is a good. We have no friction. Again, I look at those statements and I look at the reactionary way that she quickly silenced herself as related to calling out Oprah Winfrey, and that really shows me that when it comes to Black Hollywood, that we don't have any sort of independent autonomy. No, what we've got is white supremacy basically hiring some bootlicks to make sure that the messages and the narratives they want produced are produced, and undermining a black actress once again, which is what I talked about in my screenplay all about Marilyn, about how many black actresses basically wind up not being underpaid and also are not really given an opportunity at being able to find quality work, because screenplays oftentimes wind up in the hands of white actresses, and the black actresses have to settle for the scraps and the leftovers instead of getting a quality script. And part of that is because I believe of the collusion from these individuals in Hollywood who want to see a certain narrative that will allow them to create a covert contract with their white paymasters in Hollywood and be able to create a covert contract where they will be allowed to maintain power in Hollywood and maintain this power in Hollywood if they make sure that their projects all fit in line with what the white executives want as related to the black image, and they will reward those individuals with compensation like money to finance their projects, one, and two, go out here and validate those projects with Oscars or going out here and give them other awards like Golden Globes to say, this is the narrative we want, and we're going to reward you for producing the narrative we want, which is the downtrodden, miserable black woman abused by the super brute black man who needs a savior who will possibly be biracial or light-skinned, or she will be liberated by feminism. These are the narratives that are certified by the institution of white supremacy for black entertainment, and it's scary because this is the kind of entertainment fascism that I believe is happening right now that really shows me that we are, when it comes to black entertainment, it's important that we have new black media, because new black media basically is a counter to these kinds of narratives, which can make it where a child basically believes that if you're black, you have no hope. Make it believe that if you're black, you have no road to success unless you compromise with white supremacy, and make it where you believe that every road is a road to failure unless you go out here and look to be a black bootlick. That's what I'm seeing from this media, and I thank God that we have a counterpoint in new black media these days, like I produce on the SJS Direct imprint, because new black media gives you a counter message to all of the anti-black narratives produced by mainstream black media, and new black media gives you media that shows you a completely different picture of black life. Now, new black media, a lot of it is on YouTube, getting the word out as changing the course of media, and that's where I believe I fit in as related to new black media on the entertainment side, because we need a counterpoint to the narratives of people like Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels, and Tyler Perry to change the perspective of black people in as related to the entertainment we imbibe, because the media we imbibe starts to become a reflection of our behavior. And that's why men like Bill Cosby were important, because he changed the course to show us the educated black professionals out here doing work, and that made a lot of brothers and sisters look at themselves and see themselves in a positive way. And we need to continue building on that momentum, and that's what I try to do here at the SJS Direct imprint, try to build on the momentum of Bill Cosby, because the kind of media you watch, the kind of media you listen to, it has an effect on your mind, an effect on your perception of self. And if you're reading positive black media that shows people like you living well and accomplishing things, what this does is it opens your eyes to see the world from a different perspective and not see yourself as being codependent on institutions like white supremacy or seeking validation from those institutions. No, you live in a world where you see black as first, black as front and center. You see black as important, and you see people like yourself taking action, and that makes it where you become inspired to go out here and be your very best. And that's what new black media, as I see it, is all about, as related to the image of black people. And when you have new black media and you're reading new black media, like I produce on the SJS Direct imprint, like with books like The Temptation of John Haynes, which was about a black CEO, the Thetas, a black sorority, or the Spinsterella books, which are about black goths, or A Recipe for Success, which was about black-owned businesses, or my fantasy books like the Isis and Esteem series. What it does is it opens you up to a richer world of black people, opens you up to a richer world of a black experience, opens you up to a world where you see a world that is focused on the present and building a future instead of being stuck in a past of pain and suffering, which is what the white supremacists want you to lament on and dwell on. What they want you to do is not focus on your future, because good black media, new black media, it has you focused on yourself, putting yourself first, being serious about yourself and moving yourself forward. And that's why new black media is important, because you don't need to watch the second remake of The Color Purple, which is, again, a white supremacist piece of media made by a black feminist who was married to a white man and wants to go out here and demonize black men. No, what you need to see is media like The Temptation of John Haynes, which shows you a black man and a black woman coming together and loving each other, and then using their powers to overcome adversity. And you need to see black men and black women coming together in unity and strength, because that's how we combat these anti-black narratives that are produced by these blacks in Hollywood, who again are the mouthpieces and looking to promote the narratives of their white masters, and looking to promote those masters to the point where they've got actors like Taraji P. Henson terrified that if she speaks out against them, she won't get work. Has people like Monique blacklisted where she cannot get any work, and make it where black people cannot have the freedom that we were supposed to be guaranteed under the 13th and 14th Amendment of the Constitution, to be able to make the kind of media we were supposed to be allowed under the First Amendment. But it seems like Hollywood doesn't want you to see any sort of media as related to us expressing our free speech if it doesn't fit their narratives, because it seems like they don't want to go out here and show you that diversity of thought. And that is basically substantiated by films like the film American Fiction, which shows you how they look to keep black men from being able to write and publish books, which is what I have experienced as I've tried to go out here and take publications to the mainstream, because I tried to take books like The Temptation of John Haynes, A Recipe for Success, and even tried to get books like Isis published by mainstream publishers. But it seems like to me that there is a campaign to keep those type of narratives out of media, and those types of narratives they don't like because they show black people empowered and taking power. And it shows me that when it comes to mainstream media, those who control the media want to promote anti-black narratives, and this is why I take my money to create media, to create positive black narratives, and I take my money to make that media, because I understand he who has the money controls the media, and he who has the money can control the narrative, and this can be done by the black grassroots with a small amount of money and have an impact. So I understand that if I take my money and I create media, I can start to change the narrative, and we really have to start making efforts to change this narrative, because what we have with the mainstream media is an effort to keep black people oppressed and keep black people miserable and downtrodden, whereas the rest of the world is elevating their image. We are degrading ours, and life is too short for us to do this, and this is why I work to elevate our image on SJS Direct. and I work to elevate the image of black people because I want to see black people taking power, and I want to see black people empowering themselves by seeing themselves from the right frame of mind, because the road to black empowerment first starts with your perception of self and seeing an image of yourself that is beautiful, seeing an image of yourself that is valuable, seeing an image of yourself that you see value in yourself, and seeing an image of yourself where you see yourself in a world where you are front and center, and see yourself in the foreground of a world instead of being in the background of some white person's world where you're seeking their validation. No, when it comes to SJS Direct and new black media, it's all about us going out here and being the center of the picture, being the center of the story, being the front of the story, being the lead in our own lives. And watching this kind of media, it just changes the way you think about yourself. And as you change the way you think about yourself, what happens is, as you watch and read this media, what happens is you start thinking about having the confidence to go for what you want, demanding better of your life, demanding and imposing, standards for yourself, and demanding things as related to improving your quality of life, like your job, your economic situation, and even your political situation, to demand tangibles. That all starts with new black media changing your frame of mind so that you start focusing on you instead of looking up to bootlicks who are out here presented as the icons you're supposed to worship. But these people, as they look down on you, have no respect for you. And that's a codependent relationship that has taken black people nowhere for 30 years. So we've got to start thinking about getting with new black media, which is focused on developing interdependent relationships where, as we take responsibility for the media and the narratives of it, we are working with black people to create positive narratives that empower and uplift brothers and sisters. That's what new black media, to me, as a publisher, is all about. And this is why I work to try to change the black image, try to control the black image from my point, and look to change the narratives, because I believe we can do better than what is produced by Oprah Winfrey, Lee Daniels, and Tyler Perry, and provide work to actors and actresses where they can get fair compensation and feel inspired and uplifted by producing quality work that shows us at our very best. Now, if you want to pick up some of the books on the SJS Direct imprint, like The Temptation of John Haynes, A Recipe for Success, The Thetas, Eternal Night, or any of the novels I produced, or the Isis, Esteem, and John Haynes series books, and my screenplay books all about Marilyn and all about Nikki, you can find all of that work on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find it at other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, Google Play, and Barnes & Noble. And if you want to try out my first full SJS Direct comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, you can find that comic on Lulu.com right now in paperback, and you can get it for the same price that people paid for it at the 2022 Kickstarter. And if you want to see me be able to make more videos, be able to pay for the artists for the covers of SJS Direct books, or help me be able to put together the next full SJS Direct Universe comic, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. Now available in paperback and e-readers, The Temptation of John Haynes. Give in to temptation and pick up this action-packed African-American paranormal romance. Get The Temptation of John Haynes in paperback and e-readers today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.